So the other day I set the points and I want to do it again because, well, we'll just go through it really quick. But if you've never set points, I'm going to show you how I do it. If you have any tips, comment below. But this is just how I do it. This is how I was shown. And my car calls for 15 to 20,000 SCAP. I would urge you to check what your car is spec'd for. Okay, so the first thing you want to notice is right here in the front of your engine is your distributor. Now this is a Ford, so the distributor's right in front. On a Chevy, it would be in the back. And again, I'm a garage mechanic, so I don't know what every one of them are. But what I can tell you is if you're trying to find your distributor and you're having any kind of issue, I don't know why you would, but if you did, you could follow these cables from your spark plugs. Your cable goes right to the distributor. So what we're going to do is, before I remove the battery terminal, I'm going to remove this cap. I'm just going to leave the cables plugged in. I'm going to set the cap up here, and then I'm going to bump it until I get to a point that I'll show you. Your cap has a little clip, at least on mine, on either side. Okay, so let's zoom in here. Okay, so what you notice here is your rotor. If I botch the terms, I apologize, mechanics. See this? I don't know what you'd call it, but this gear, I guess you'd call it, or cam, that this set of points run on. That's right here. There's a little point right there where it rides on that cam. So as this turns, it lifts and lowers a set of points. Well, once it's at the very peak, that's where you want to set your points to 15 to 20 thousandths. To do that, you have to bump the ignition. That's why you got to leave the starter plugged in. It's not going to start because I've got my distributor cap off, but I've got to bump it until I get this peak. See, like the peak right there, right where that point is, right there on that arm. And that arm is what we're setting to that point. So let's try. I'm going to see if I can work some TV magic here. I'm going to bump the ignition. And by bump, I just mean just turning the key just enough to where it's just barely turns the motor. See, if you're working like me in the garage by myself, that didn't land on the center of the high point, so I'm just going to have to keep bumping it until, sorry for the shaky camera, until I get it right dead center. So that's pretty good. It's, let me show you what I'm looking at. Okay, can you see how that arm, right? Let's see if I can point to it. I'm trying to get my screwdriver in the camera. Oh, oops, here we go. So see how this point on this arm is dead center on this cam? See how the cam's got points in it? Well, that's your firing. So you got to get that right where it's at right now. I got lucky, I guess. It only took me 2 tries tapping it. But now is the time to disconnect your battery. And don't be like me where your battery's constantly loose because you're always pulling the sucker off. Properly tighten them, because it does cause me issues. But now we'll get our feeler gauges. Okay, so this is really simple. All you need to do is get a set of feeler gauges like this. You can get them at any O'Reilly's or Schuck's or any auto parts store. And it'll give you all the sizes you would typically need. A feeler gauge just gives you, in the smallest of increments, the different thickness that you need to gap different engine components. On my gauge here, I'm looking for 15 to 20 thousandths. And I think for my, so here's 15. I think I'm gonna go with, last time I gapped it at 20 thousandths. I can't actually remember. So here's 15, here's 20. It's kind of hard to see. You can kind of see it there. Well, I'm thinking I gapped it last time at 15 because you can see this is the only one with wear marks on it. See the little wear marks? You can just barely see it. So I'm going to do 15 thousandths again. Where I made the mistake before is I didn't have it perfectly centered on that cam, which, don't do that, that was stupid. It didn't run, it ran better, but not as good. So for me, I just took my rotor off. It just comes straight up. It only fits one way. So I'm thinking you're pretty safe on that one. Okay, so it's really simple, guys. This screw right here, you're gonna loosen it. Because that's the adjustment side. I'm going to put my 15 thousandths gauge into this gap, which it is really close. But that's the gap you're looking at right there. I'm going to push this over snug. I think I may have to loosen this one too. And there we go. Now it's really adjustable. Okay. Maybe I went a little crazy with that one. Okay, let's try this again. See, I made these suckers to where they're touching, which is no bueno. See how it's opening that gap? I don't know if you can see that. So on mine, I put the feeler gauge in there. I'm tightening it, and then I'm removing the gauge. And it's actually still too tight, so I may want to try that one more time. Let me try this one more time. Try to be patient with it because it makes a big difference. And it's not hard to do. You can do it just as much as I can. Well, these old cars, it makes a big difference in the performance. It takes just a little bit of work because you want to make sure this is perfect. It should just barely squeak in there. you don't want that arm to move when you pull the gauge out. So if it looks like it is, even that's pretty close to maybe I should. This is a job. If you're a perfectionist, it'll drive you crazy. Okay, well, I'm going to try that. So I'm basically using the screwdriver to try to get my gap just perfect. I think I've accomplished it. See how when I put the gauge in there, it doesn't move the arm at all? That's right where you want to be. Otherwise, it's not really 15 thousandths. I think I'm good now. I'm going to double check both the screws I took it. And good. Okay, so we're going to put the rotor back on, which only fits one way. I'm going to put my cap right back the way I had it. And then I'm going to put my clips back on. For me, the hardest thing is just seeing right now because it's dark in my garage. Okay, so now I'm just ready to plug my battery back in right over on here. That's where mine's at. Now the final test, let's give it a whirl and see if what I did worked. I'll take that as a win. That's it, guys. How to set your points. Pretty easy. All right, guys, so that was how to set your points. It's pretty easy. I'm a garage mechanic. I'm not like a professional mechanic. That's, in fact, why a lot of times I'll leverage like my buddy Sam and different things to help me through it. But if you've got a project, you can do this one. You don't have to be a master mechanic. Just be patient and just work through it. The first time I did it, I was kind of slow. This time, I wasn't really trying to go fast, and it was pretty easy. So it just takes practice, but get after those projects, dig in, figure it out, learn, and what's the worst that can happen? If you get stuck, you can always take it to a mechanic, but at least try it. Why not? All right, guys, like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.